So I've decided to change the engine oil myself for my 2018 Honda Clarity. I've always done that at the dealership, and but Costco had some really good deals on full synthetic oils. The Kirkland brand full synthetic 0W20 was on sale for I think $30 for 10 quarts, and that is a pretty amazing value. So I've decided go ahead and just do it myself. So tools that you need if you're gonna do it yourself, very simple actually. Two ramps. I got those ramps I think at Walmart. They are fairly cheap. So you can get it higher, and then you're able to go underground and loosen up some covers and then loosen up the bolts. And a standard oil filter. Feel free to use the genuine Honda brand. I only got those because they're on sale. I think 17mm wrench. I got the socket and the wrench just in case, whichever that's gonna work a little bit easier. And also a Walmart bought oil drip pan. This one actually catches the oil, goes in there. I can close it and then go recycle it at AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts, wherever that recycles used engine oil. One last thing is something for the filter. So for me, I'm just gonna use a regular giant plumbing wrench. I'm gonna show you guys in a little bit, but that's one I use. And first thing first is we're gonna align the ramp and get the car on top of the ramp, then we're pretty much ready to go. So I just went inside and got my plumbing wrench. This one expands pretty large, so it's gonna be very easy to grab and hold on to the top of the filter right here. Okay, you don't really need any special tools, and just be careful not to over squeeze. You should be fine just using a regular wrench to change the filter. Okay, and also I got a screwdriver, so I should be able to open up the cover, which is blocking the oil pan. So I just backed up my car a little bit. I'm trying to line up the wheel with the ramp so I can slowly go over the ramp and then go to the top of the ramp. Now we are ready to go to the top of the ramp. So I'll show you guys this Kirkland full synthetic 0W20 oil. That's the oil I'm going to be using for my own oil change. And before, when I went to dealers, I've always told them to use the dealers, traditional, conventional Honda branded motor oils. And this one, the advantage is I should be able to actually go to 10,000 miles before I need to do an oil change. And so that is the reason I got the synthetic. If you're changing your oil at a very regular interval, conventional oil is perfectly fine. But I drive a lot of mileage. I commute every day, almost 200 miles. So that's why I'm using the synthetic, because I need to change my oil constantly. Also forgot to mention the bolt for the oil drain plug is 30 foot per 30 foot per pound in terms of the torque. So I got a torque wrench. When we finish changing the oil, we're gonna torque it to spec. All right, so again, Kirkland, great value. You're gonna be using 3.5 quarts, and this is a 5 quart. So they have an indicator over here. So just, you know, keep an eye on where the oil, how much oil went in, and you should have some leftovers for next oil change if you need. Okay. All right, I'm gonna kind of loosen this little plug, getting ready. And we're gonna drain the plug first, and then we're gonna take off the oil filter after most of the oil is already goes into here. Okay, underneath there is a cover with a couple plastic bolts. You need to loosen this little metal cover first. Once that's loosened, we should be able to see the filter and the plug, and that's what I'm gonna do first. It's kind of hard to see with the camera at an awkward angle, so I'm just gonna do it and show you guys what it looks like after it's removed. So this is what the cover looks like. It's very straightforward. The little clip is right here. It's actually aluminum, and the previous techs, whoever changed my oil, actually lost 3 of those, so I only had 5 left. And that's another reason why now I don't really much trust the dealership, because they mess up your car more than you want to know. Okay, so again, with only 5 left, might have to order some extras to make sure those are very nicely secured back onto my car after the oil change. But this is what the pan looks like. The cover is aluminum, very fragile, but also very sharp, so be careful not to put your hands around those edges, and you're gonna very easily hurt your hand and get a cut. Okay, so with that removed, let's see what's under. Should be pretty straightforward. So this is the front view. You can see the filter right there, and the oil plug is right there. Very straightforward and very easy to do. Okay, so next step, I'm just gonna get my drain pan under there, loosen the bolt, and have it drain. Once it finishes draining, I'm gonna loosen the oil filter and have that drain just a little bit as well, and put on a brand new filter, and then we are ready to pour the oil into the engine again. Okay, so I've loosened the bolt with my socket wrench right here, and at this point, just make sure the oil pan is aligned, and we can just start turning. And I forgot to mention, I warmed up the engine right before I started doing this job. The engine is warm, it's not terribly hot, so hopefully this could help drain more or the most of the oil out. Okay, so I'm just gonna start turning, and the bolt is probably gonna fall into the pan, which is okay. I just don't want to get anything on my hand. Oh, here we go. Right here. And you can see the curve, it goes pretty far. So again, just make sure it's nice. Judging by the color, yeah, it's probably time for me to change the oil. Again, those conventional oils doesn't last as long. And I drove about 8,000 miles, which, as the machine said, 17 days overdue. Okay. All right, and the oil is pretty much drained. I am gonna now loosen this with my socket wrench, not socket wrench, the plumbing wrench, and make sure the oil is dripping to the right place. Just have the pan on the bottom, so you're able to catch whatever's left over right here. Should be enough space. All right. Again, gonna be tricky doing it with one hand, so I'm gonna just loosen it and then show you guys what it looks like. And really, all you need is a couple turns with your wrench, and then you can hand turn it. Okay, it's pretty much kind of set. I'm just gonna let it drip and then let it fall into the pan without me getting too much oil on my hand. Okay, quite a lot of turns. Ooh, getting nasty. And again, be careful if your oil is hot. Mine is like lukewarm, so it's okay. Here we go. In the meantime, while the oil is still kind of dripping a little bit, I'm just gonna let it drip for 5 minutes. Then we are just prepping the fresh oil and the oil filter. I'm gonna use a little of the fresh oil, coat the edge of the silicone just a little bit, and then put the oil filter on there first, and then I'm gonna close the drain plug, and then we're gonna pour fresh oil in there. Again, this is 5 quarts full, so you're gonna keep an eye on how much you pour. You're gonna leave it at 5 minus 3.5, which is 1.5 quart. You're gonna leave it somewhere here. That's probably the correct oil amount to fill when the engine is totally empty of oil. Okay, so keep that in mind, and let's start the next step. Some people like to pre-fill the oil filter. I don't really do that. And as long as you know the capacity, it should ultimately be filled, okay, eventually, when the pump starts to run, okay? So now the rim is nicely oiled. We are gonna close the plug, put on the filter, and then pour the oil, and the whole process should be done, okay? And that's how easy that is to change your own oil on the Honda Clarity. So I am gonna hand tighten the filter, then just give it a little more snug using the wrench. Make sure it's snugly fitted but not overly tightened, because this one you don't really want to apply too much pressure, okay, to crush it. So just hand tighten and then give it like a quarter turn when it's hand tightened, okay. This is the original Honda filter. They sell about the same price, about $8-9 per piece, and the original one is made by Honeywell, I believe, and it's usually in blue color, okay. But again, I'm not using the original one. You can use whatever filter you feel like, but probably want a better filter if you gonna abuse the changing interval a little bit, okay. And put the socket on my torque wrench. We're torquing it at 30 foot-pounds, and once the bolt is correctly torqued, we're gonna pour the oil from that point on. And you can see I've installed the oil filter. Just make sure you don't cross thread the filter. Just do it slowly and gently. It should be fine. All right, so we are pretty much done with the bottom part of the changing the oil, and now we're just gonna go to the top. We're gonna find the oil cap, loosen the oil cap. Sometimes you might need a wrench because they tighten it like really tight. And something that I forgot to mention at the very beginning is it will be really helpful if you have a funnel to guide you when you are trying to pour the oil. But obviously the design of this thing prevents you from having a funnel. I might have to find some creative ways, like resting it somewhere while pouring the oil. Or my wife is gonna help me hold it. Let's see. Ooh. Good. And remember, once you're almost done, check the indication mark on how much oil you poured. You don't want to pour too much. So we only poured about 1 quart. We still need 2.5 quarts. So I think you can just directly pour on the top, which would probably be kind of easy, not as hard, but a funnel definitely helps, as you can see in this case. we're gonna stop right there, and in a little bit, once the oil is settled, we're gonna actually check the oil mark to make sure that we're at the correct level. But at this point, all the basic steps are done, and we're gonna come back at the very end to check to make sure the oil is at the correct mark. Okay, so see you guys in a little bit. So I just finished clipping the bottom pan, the little protective cover. That actually took longer than I thought, and with the bottom already closed, we can actually roll the car off the ramp, have it sit level for probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm gonna come back and check on the oil level, make sure it's at the correct level, and then we should call this project complete. Okay. Let's check the oil level really quick. So you check the oil level by this little hook over here, and the car has been idle for about 15 minutes. We're gonna pull it up. We're just gonna check where the oil is. So the oil is actually at the orange mark, which means it's pretty good. I don't think I need to add any more oil, but just to be sure, I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more oil into the engine, but the oil level actually looks okay because this part is actually it's in between the little two marks, so that means the oil level is actually okay. Okay, so we have successfully changed the engine oil in the Honda Clarity plug-in hybrid. The process is pretty simple if you know exact steps, and it really requires probably 30 minutes max. Could get sooner if you do it more often, but it's actually a very easy, convenient process. With the good oil that you can get for good price, it's a no-brainer. It's gonna save you a lot more money in the long run. And with yourself, you can also check in different components and fluid levels once in a while to make sure your Clarity is running in tip-top shape. Okay, hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please do hit the like button or subscribe, and I sure have more Honda Clarity plug-in hybrid maintenance videos coming out for you guys. Thanks again, and take care.